Hey guys, Fazzy back here. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a general review for Be a Pro. What worked and what did not. So this was obviously a huge feature for NHL 26, really was the main selling feature for the entire game. And I think it's safe to say, there's a lot they did well, but there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be worked on. So we're just going to be going from creating your player right here to more or less the end of the first season and seeing what is good and what is bad. So first off, creating your player, you have quite a few options for a World Junior team, which is nice to see. At first I thought it would be like, Canada, US, Sweden, that would kind of be it. But you'll see there we just did choose Switzerland, there's Kazakhstan. There is some good options available for you. So here is something I have quite a bit to say about. And this is starting your career, and it involves the use of custom rosters. So that was, again, one of their big selling points, that you could finally use custom rosters. You could start in like the CHL and start in Europe, which you can still do in this game, which you could do in prior games. But this year you could use custom rosters to do so. And there was a lot of confusion around this, and I still don't think we really have a solid answer. The only thing I can speculate is they want you to start your career in either Europe or the CHL, go through the World Juniors, go through the Memorial Cup, get drafted, and then come back to the main menu to start your career in the NHL. Because that is the option that you can use if you want to use custom rosters. So again, that just seems like a miss for me. It's something that no one's gonna really ever do, and I don't think a lot of people even really think about it. So definitely a bit of a letdown for sure. I will say I'm glad that they kept in the Memorial Cup and the European Champions League Cup. There was a lot of rumors that was going to get removed this year when they did add the World Junior Championship, but those tournaments are still in there. Of course, it would be nice to see that expanded upon and, play a full year in Europe, play a full year in the CHL like we've had in years past. Unfortunately, not this year. Maybe it's something we can see here in the near future. So moving on, we have created our player, we have chosen our World Junior Championship nation, we are thrown into our first interview. And I'm kind of torn on these interviews. When you first get introduced into Be a Pro, these are actually really cool. It's a nice change from what we've had in years past, but in my opinion at least, I think these get pretty repetitive pretty quick. And in the first year of Be a Pro, you do this quite a bit. I will say it works pretty well with the introduction to Be a Pro, just because that's how you're choosing what position you play, what type of player you are. Are you an enforcer? Are you a playmaker? Are you a sniper? That's all chosen in this initial interview. You also get, I believe, some extra, just stat points. You also get X factors, depending on what your class is. So I think as an introduction to Be a Pro, these interviews are actually a pretty interesting way of more or less creating your player. But outside of that, I don't know, just not really too sold on the interviews this year. Again, it's a very minor thing. I guess it kind of works for the draft interview. We'll get to that here shortly as we go through our career, but you'll see the conversation results. And that is actually, like I said, kind of interesting. I don't mind that portion of it for the player creation. So moving on, we have now created our player, and we are ready to go in the World Juniors. Again, one of the huge selling points this year, your Be a Pro, you can now play in the World Juniors. It's only 2 games though. I get what they're going for. I'm sure a lot of people who, just like the casual player who picks up this game, they just want to get to the NHL and start their career. But there is a very large majority out there that wants to see that expanded on. And to just add in a 2-game World Junior Championship just seems like a bit of a waste of resources, to be honest. At least give us the option to have that expanded. If people want to just make a storyline out of it, they came to the World Juniors late, they're a substitute player, whatever it may be, have that option available. But if you want to play the full tournament, also have that a thing. Just give people options, let them choose how they want to play. And now that we are in the real hub here for Be a Pro, we can talk about the new Be a Pro screen. And I actually really do like this. It looks clean. I love the headline. I love that you see your actual player in game, and it actually does replicate whatever jerseys you're wearing, which is kind of cool. I know it's a very small thing, but it's at least a little bit of an attention to detail thing. And overall, I think it just, looks really clean. I don't really have anything else really to say about that. Everything's right there. You have your 8 games once you get to the NHL. Right on the bottom, you see your whole chapter averages. You have your form score. We'll get to that later, the bane of existence in Be a Pro. But outside of that, it looks really good, and I like that they actually changed the aesthetic here in this Be a Pro revamp. Moving on from the World Junior Championships to the Memorial Cup, or the CHL Champions League Cup in Europe. And unfortunately, I really just don't have much to say about this. It's a copy and paste from what we've seen all the way going back to, I don't even know when that was added in, because that was before NHL 21, at least the Memorial Cup. And it's just a copy and paste. And the same points apply to these tournaments as they do the World Juniors. Give players the option. Do you want to see this expanded? Do you want to play a full season in your draft year? I think that would be really cool. And, I think there's a lot of possibilities there. Unfortunately, that is not how it is in NHL 26. Very stripped back, very much the same. So yeah, hopefully that's again something that can be expanded on and can be improved upon. At least just give players the choice to play how they want to play. So the World Juniors is done, the Memorial Cup is over, and we are now find ourselves getting interviewed for the NHL Draft. And again, this is the same style of interview that you see at the beginning of Be a Pro. And this one, it works, obviously, draft interviews. It makes sense you're going to be doing this. But I've done a few of these. I've done some testing on Be a Pro. And I don't know if it's just really this interview, but you always get like the same questions and the same possibilities to answer. But the thing is, with these interviews, half of the answers to the questions where something like logically makes sense, it doesn't always mean you're going to get a good outcome in your draft stock, which again makes no sense. And we're getting to that here very, very shortly. I think it's actually even just like the next question. You'll see some perfect examples of that. We're talking about, like, do you want to spend your career with one franchise? What GM that drafts you wouldn't want you to stay with their franchise the whole year? Where in this answer, I believe I give here, I prefer staying. Oh, of course I'm going to lose draft stock. And this one here, what motivates you as a hockey player? Do you want to win championships, or do you want to just be a star in the league? What GM is going to drop your rank by saying, I want to win championships? Again, that makes no sense. And I've seen it go either way. Sometimes you say that, sometimes it's green, it's good. And sometimes you say it and it's bad. So it just doesn't make much sense to me. You also do have the option to pick what team you play for, which again, nice option. And you can just have it random, or you can have it set where you want to go. You got to give some props to EA when you actually get to the NHL draft. This is really cool. And I think these are the moments that a lot of players wanted to see when they heard about all these new cutscenes, all these new, in-game moments and stuff. And like, this stuff is really cool. I don't think saw enough of it this year. I love seeing my player go on stage, drafted by the Ottawa Senators there, putting on the jersey, taking some pictures. Again, it's like very cool. It looks great. It's well done. Has your round, has your pick, and just looks like you would really be drafted into the NHL. So again, the whole aesthetic there is really nice, but I just find that these moments are almost few and far between here when it comes to Be a Pro, when I think it was promised upon and kind of made it seem like there would be a lot more. So once again, we have another conversation with the media here, and this is what I'm saying. These kind of get old pretty quick, and you're going to get more of them as you head toward the start of the season, and you're kind of not being pressured, but, you're being interviewed by the media. Are you going to make the team? What's going to happen this year with you, kind of thing? And I don't know. I just think they kind of overuse these maybe a little bit. One thing we do have to talk about with Be a Pro, it is unfortunate. That's the voice acting, especially Celebrini. Love the guy, but this did not work out.
Getting drafted. This is a huge accomplishment. You should be proud of yourself. Now just make sure you keep working so you can prove all these other teams wrong. Hey, it's Macklin Celebrini calling. Our agent gave me your number. I know you're excited about the semifinals at the World Juniors, and you should be. This is going to be one of the most fun games of your career, and you should enjoy it. There's going to be lots of scouts out there, and they'll be watching you, seeing how you do, so just show them how you play the game. Good luck and have fun.
And it's not on Celebrini at all. He's not a voice actor. He's a hockey player. I kind of feel like EA put everyone in a bad position there. It's cool there's voiceovers, but I don't know, just didn't work out this year. And it kind of goes for the same. You have your agent, you have the coaches. Actually, we have an agent conversation coming up right here.
Congratulations, you signed your entry-level contract officially.
Those are slightly better. Some of the GM and coach ones are still a little bit weird though. And look at this, we have another interview. We're, like I said, we're heading toward the NHL season. We're going to see more of these. We just signed our contract. And yeah, I don't know. The same view gets kind of boring too. Like, change the camera, show our face, show us kind of talking. I don't know. It's just, again, just kind of overdone. I gotta say, some of the locker room interactions do look pretty cool. Again, it's similar to what we've had in previous years. The locker room's exactly the same as it was in going back to NHL 21 when they had their previous Be a Pro revamp. But it's cool to see you interacting with some of your teammates, some of the stars of the team. You have Kachuk there, you have Stutzel. And yeah, I don't know. It's a nice moment for sure to kick off your Be a Pro, or I believe it happens after you get traded to a new team. Conversation with our GM here. What does he have to say?
Important for you. Our expectation is for you to make this team. We think you have the talent, the mental ability, but you have to show us over this preseason that you're ready to make the team.
So we get our first introduction to challenges in Be a Pro, and these reset each and every single chapter and can either move you up or down lineups on your team. Honestly, probably one of the biggest W's of Be a Pro is the tunnel walkouts, and I just wish you saw these more. And time of recording, I'm recording this in October, still hasn't been patched to other modes, but apparently that's coming in the future. Just take a look at these. These are so insanely cool. My only complaint is you don't see these more. Just absolutely insanely cool. I'm sure that's something that they can tweak with the sliders so they appear more often. So moving on, we have a new save file. We're midway through the NHL season. We've just scored our first goal. We need to talk about the form score. So the form score is, in my opinion, probably the worst part of Be a Pro. It's awful. I just did a experiment here with the Anaheim Ducks. I simulated halfway through the season I would not get called up because my player just could not meet the form score. No matter what I did, he would always be like 30 points under where he needed to be. So I had to go in and play a few games just to get called up, just so I could come up and score my first goal here. You'll see, we're in January. There was no sense I was going to make it out of the AHL. And they never really give you a good indication of what makes up form score. Like, I know I was watching 2BC's Be a Pro this whole year. He was leading his team in goals and was stuck as a scratch player. Like, what else do you have to do? I don't know. Again, major miss for me. And that has to be tweaked, for sure, going into next year. Moving on, you see you obviously have all your menu stuff here. Stuff we could have gone through earlier. But at the NHL level, you can now request trades. You can do it through the media. You can do it through just the GM. I believe the media is a new option this year. And with this new Be a Pro, it introduces activities. So these are different categories that you have to balance throughout your NHL career, whether it be your brand, your management, your teammates, your skill points, your trait points, and your health. So obviously some of those we've seen going back to Live the Life back in NHL like 14. But your stuff like your health is so important and probably the most important stat to keep up there if you want to be performing. Otherwise your player is going to be extremely sluggish and he's just not going to play well in game. When it comes to management, it comes to teammates, again, these don't really matter. They have small buffs and nerfs depending on if you're favored or unfavored, but end of the day, you don't really have to focus on these at all. Potential suggestion, maybe for management, maybe your form score gets halved of what you need to move up and down the lines. Just an idea, but something like that, could work and make it so that you really do need to be favored by management. But you also have, like I said, your X Factor points, and again, this is something that I would probably invest quite a bit in, as the way you earn X Factors is you get all these different points, and then once you have a certain stat level, I believe ankle breakers, deking, And then you can go, once you have a certain amount of points, you can go in and upgrade them themselves. So you'll see here on this player, I have Quick Release, I have Spark Plug, Rocket. All the initial tiers are very cheap to buy. The upgrades do cost quite a bit more, especially as you get into like, the top level elite X Factor. Those are going to cost you quite a bit. So you're going to have to save up throughout your career and really make some tough choices of what X Factor you would like. So, in closing, let's at least go through one chapter, as at least in this universe, like I said, we just got called up, we just scored our first goal in our first NHL game. Let's see what some of our initial challenges are, and let's see if we can hit our goals and meet our form score while simulating. Okay, so we have our first conversation here with the agent. I really do not care. So our challenge is advance to game 56, easy. Get a 75 form score. I'm telling you right now, that's not going to happen. We'll be at like 35. And then get 2 points. That's possible. So basically, if you hit one of the bottom 2 goals, you're more or less good to stay wherever you are in the lineup. If you fail both of them, that's when you get demoted. And if you get both of them, that's when you get promoted. So hey, it's totally possible that we go and at least get 2 points here in the next 8 games with our Be a Pro player. But if we don't, we may end up being in some trouble here at the end of the chapter. But hey, let's wait and find out. My prediction is 37 form score. And I say we're going to get 1 out of the 2 points required. Hopefully we do better, but just knowing this game and seeing some results, I think that's how it's going to go. Oh, this is something I wanted to touch on. So obviously your perks, these are still in the game. They are just managed monthly. So at the start of the month, the first day, you're going to get asked if you want to renew, if you want to, get rid of stuff. Always was a weird system. I don't know. It's fine how it is. So, okay, we are here at almost the end of the chapter. 1 game left. Look at that. 35 form score. We're 40 down from where we need to be, and we have 0 points. Uh-oh. Conversation with the GM. What is he going to have to say?
We're going to have to move you to a scratch rotation, an extra player. It hasn't gone quite as well as we were hoping. There's been a lot of competition from below you, and we want to give an opportunity to someone else. At this point, it's what's best for the organization, for you to be in that place. Work hard, get better.
And there you go. We are a scratched player officially, which in theory is kind of a cool way of doing it if you're really not performing. But it's hard to get out of that position depending on obviously what difficulty you're playing on. If you want to cheese it, you want to play on rookie with all the sliders maxed out, you'll get out of there in no time. But if you're playing on superstar, that's kind of purgatory. You're going to be stuck there. The only other thing I think I really wanted to touch on is, the trade requests. And like I said, trade request with the media. I don't think that was in last year. Once again, we have another press conference, which we know how I feel about these. But it's kind of cool that you can go various ways about it. You don't just have to go talk to the GM. You want to make your demands public. And it's almost like you're kind of acting out a little bit more in this one, where you can go to the GM respectfully behind closed doors. I like that you at least have the option. Does it really impact, the management, the teammate, ability any more one way or the other? I honestly don't know. I haven't really tested that out, to be honest. In theory, going to the media should be a little bit more negative toward you, but it should almost be a little bit more convincing of getting you off the team. So, and you still have the option of at least choosing what conference you want to go to. Again, I don't know if that's guaranteed, but at least you can kind of at least have some say of what direction you want to go. So be a pro in NHL 26. Again, this was the huge feature. This is, the big selling point of why offline players especially should buy this game. Overall, I just think it's a really middling experience. There's a lot they did well. You got to give them props where they did well, but there's a lot of stuff that just feels very lackluster still. I don't know, maybe again, I'm in the wrong on that. Maybe you guys may feel differently toward Be a Pro, but if I had to rate this mode out of 10, let's say going back to, Pricey Pond Hockey before all this stuff came in, I would probably give that, 4 out of 10. At the time it was introduced, it was pretty cool, but, all these years later of it not being touched at all, definitely drove down the value of that mode quite a bit. Current day Be a Pro, I would probably go 6 out of 10. I just can't give it any more than that. It's fun in areas, and, you can make your own storylines to make stuff fun, but the mode itself just seems lacking again, which again is very unfortunate with, a lot of resources going into this. So I'm curious, what do you guys think of Be a Pro this year? Good changes for sure, but is it enough for you? And if you've played, multiple seasons, are you still liking it? Is there anything different about the experience from previous years? I'm curious to know for sure. But yeah, that's going to do it for my Be a Pro review here for NHL 26. As always, let me know what do you think. I'll see you all in the next video.